Okay, so now you have your finished project ready to go. So whether it's a simple magnet or a piece of jewelry, or in my case, an award that's going to be pieced together, you've got to do some basic setup settings for the laser cutter for it to work. So this is a pretty complex project. So this is one of the department awards that's cut on the laser cutter upstairs. So once you have all your pieces, so just so that you guys are aware, this would get assembled. So the RF would get glued on top. This is the base. So I've got 3 separate elements here. I just put them all on one big piece of wood because it just saves time and energy and supplies. Okay, so now I need to start making some decisions. So the first thing you have to remember is that there's different settings for cutting and there's different settings for engraving. So we're going to start with the cutting portion first. So if I want to cut out this entire shape, you have to change the stroke to RGB red. And here's how you do this. So once you click on it, your object that you want to cut out, I'm going to go down here to swatch libraries, and you want to go to default swatches, and you want basic RGB. That's super important. And you want to click on the red. Okay. Oops, I put that on my film. Yeah, I don't want any. Okay, so I've got RGB red. All right, that's my stroke. And then for the size, you're going to want to put it down to 0.001. It's going to look like it almost disappears. What this tells the computer is RGB red 001. It's going to take that laser and it's going to literally cut on this line. Okay, so that's what you need to do for all of your outlines. So I'm going to do that here as well. I'm going to put my fill at none. I'm going to put my stroke to that RGB red. Oh, I hate that it does this. And then I'm going to take that stroke down to 0.001. So that means that's going to cut that entire shape out. Okay. Same thing here. I want to cut this out. So I'm going to go to my red. And my stroke 0.001. Going to cut out that rectangle. All right, now we're set to the engraving part. So engraving, remember, is just when it's cutting down into the wood, it's scratching down into it, but it's not cutting all the way through. So I need a little slot here to slip this end down into. I don't want to cut all the way through. I just want it to be engraved a little bit. So I'm going to click on this. You want it set to basic RGB black. So your basic RGB swatches should still be here. If not, remember, you need to open them here. Okay, but you just want to set it to black. Now, if it's filled, it's going to engrave this whole area. So it's going to act like it etches down all of this. So I'm going to have a rectangle that's nice and solid. It's depressed down into the wood that I can slide that down into. And that's what I want. I want it filled. Now, when I'm talking about my text here, most of the time, your text, you're going to want to fill it with the black, not stroke it with the black, because text is pretty thin. You want to cut the whole area out. Okay, you want to etch down in. But if when I get to something like this, I may not actually want to engrave this whole area. I might just want to engrave a line down in it. So if that's the case, what I would do is on my stroke, I would set that stroke to that black. Okay. And you don't have to worry about the size, because what it's going to do is it's going to etch down a thin little line into the wood. That's what that would do there, so that you could see it. Okay. Just to give you an example of what I mean here, I'm going to click on here. So what I mean is, if you look here at this image, so this is when the line, so like the outside of my rocket, it's just etching a little line in, versus that's the filled etch. Does that make sense here? So this would be like set as solid black. These would just be that black stroke like I did on my rocket. So let me click back on there so you can see that. So this would be like that heart. This would be like the flower. It's just going to etch around. I'll show you another example. Same thing here on this one. If you were to look, actually, I know I have a better one. All right, perfect. This one right here. So if I'm looking at the dog, that line is etched, This would be just a black line or solid black. This one makes it a little bit easier to understand, okay? When you are 100% done with this and you've got everything set as is, you're going to want to save this one more time. And then you're going to send me this file. Do not export it as a JPEG. You need to leave it as an Illustrator file. I'll double check it and then we'll send a test through and then you'll get it printed. That's it. Pretty easy peasy. Key things to remember is make sure you're using the basic RGB, and when you're cutting out your shape that you do change that stroke to 001.